Hello, my name is Glennda Baker, and I am a real estate agent in Atlanta, Georgia, and this is The Glennda Show. And today we are joined with Adam Johnson with Keller Williams Midtown. And on today's show, we are going to talk about naked encounters of the first kind, making your business predictable, working with a coach, and surrounding yourself with an amazing team. So stick around if you want to know all about how to get started in real estate. Today, I am joined by Adam Johnson with Keller Williams Midtown. And y'all, I am so excited because Adam is actually our first other agent guest. So
that's right.
Adam has only been licensed since July. So we've never ever met. So we are really going to kind of dive into as a new agent, what questions do you have for me? So while I'm not going to let you take the complete and total interview reins, I do want to hear what would you ask an agent that's been licensed since forever, since Jesus was a baby? So maybe let's just chat a little bit. Tell me okay, so you've been in it since July. What has happened that you weren't expecting?
I think what I haven't expected that's happened so far is just realizing how much I don't know. So I guess the step from beginning in July to closing your first deal is such a massive gap, and you learn so much in that period of time. There's only so much you can learn before you do it.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
So that was, I guess I thought I would feel more prepared going into it, but there's so much you have to learn as you go.
Absolutely.
That was something that I was like, wow, that I didn't realize how much additional information, how many different things I needed to know to be successful and to meet that end goal of finding someone a home or selling a home, so yeah.
Well, I think that's what a lot of people don't realize is
Sure.
the gap between expectation and reality is huge.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is that real estate by the book is not really real estate in the street. It's
Yes.
completely different.
For sure.
In the pages that you're going through
right.
online, or if you actually went and looked at a book,
Right.
it's completely different.
It is.
Because when there's a huge problem, in the text, it doesn't say, hey, when there's this huge problem, you do this.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to say next. Is that's what surprised me most. Is I expected there to be some sort of play-by-play. Yeah. This happens. Does not exist. That was so. Yeah,
this is not football.
Yeah, not football. Not football.
Yeah.
So that was very. I had to kind of come to that realization. Now, doing a couple of deals now, I understand. You get more confidence, you get more comfortable each time you do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there's still situations that arise that, I was talking to my productivity coach yesterday, and he said, I have someone I work with, they've been in the business for 10 years. They still call me and ask me, what is this? What do you do with this? I've never seen this. So
well, I've got news for you. I've been doing this 28 years. So
yeah.
I always say since Jesus was a baby. And I honestly, literally, I think I am the Michael Jordan of real estate. I learn something new every single day.
Yeah.
And I think that probably that's the beauty of real estate,
Right.
is that it's ever changing, and there's an opportunity to learn, and every deal is different. For me, number one, I don't think I could get a real job. But number two, working in a cube Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Mm-hmm. Oh my Can I literally shoot myself now?
Yeah.
I can't even imagine that.
So I lived that life, and it wasn't for me. So
Really?
I did that. Yeah, out of school I did that, and it just kind of and I worked for some great companies too. It wasn't, the people were great. It wasn't even that, and
No.
I think the people, that's a big part of why you like a place, right? Who you work with, you gotta love who you work with. But that feeling tethered.
Yeah.
And I think having that playbook laid out for you gets kind of boring after a while. So that's what attracted me to real estate, I think, was that I've always been a jack of all trades. I've never been able to hone in on just one thing. And I hate using the cliche, you wear a lot of hats, but you do. You got to be a salesperson. You've got to be a therapist to your clients sometimes. You've got to know the market. You got to be an expert on that too, right? So there's so many things you've got to be on top of. So that can be stressful, that can be challenging, but that's also what I like about it. At the same time, is that there's so many different things, and you're also running a business. You're also marketing yourself. You're also, and it's a lot to stay on top of, but it keeps me on my toes. I'm sure that's why you like it too.
Yeah.
Because you're not tethered to a cubicle. You get to meet interesting people. You're working with different people, doing different things. So yeah, that's kind of.
Well, and the opportunity to write your own playbook.
Sure.
You
yeah,
know,
that's cool.
and for me, I barely got out of high school. Like literally, it was like a skid to the finish line. And so the fact that people trust me with what is usually their single largest asset, is such an honor. And you become like ingrained in people's life. I mean, think about you're helping them pick the place that they're going to spend the most time.
Sure.
So it's really an honor. And I think that one thing that probably because I was so broke and so poor when I started, I was more tuned into getting the deal done. I didn't really appreciate, the honor of someone working with me.
I was thinking about that on the way over.
Yeah.
I had that thought on the way over. I thought how humbling it is for someone to trust you with that.
Yeah.
Because it's a very emotional decision, whether they're selling or buying. Like they want to have that feeling, right? Like of this is home,
right?
Or I'm selling my home, right? There's emotions involved, and it's a huge financial decision. And like it's very, very humbling. It's an honor for sure to be able to do it. And I've now had time to reflect on that and really think back. And that's funny you said that. I had that exact thought on the way over here. So that's funny that you brought that up because it really is like, you get kind of choked up thinking about that.
Yeah.
So very
absolutely.
cool.
So tell me, so you're newer in the business.
Yes.
So, and you have a productivity coach.
I do.
So, and I have a coach as well. So, I mean, because think about it, like Tiger Woods, he's got a coach. Like Lionel Messi, he has a coach. Cristiano Ronaldo, he has a coach. Like, I think that people think, oh, I've been doing this X number of years, or I've done this many deals. I don't need a coach. I don't need a mentor. I think that that's a huge misnomer.
For
in the real estate space. I think that it takes you literally from average to extraordinary when you engage a coach. So I'm so glad to hear that you have a coach. But let me ask you a question. What if you could like ask me anything about real estate, what would it be?
Oh my God, I think my biggest question is, I think getting that momentum and maintaining that momentum, that I've realized that is such a big piece of it, right? Huge. So I like to add. So I know you've been doing this since Jesus was a baby. So you've got the momentum, you've got it rolling. I think I'm kind of starting to get to that hill where you can kind of feel that momentum. How do you maintain that? How do you stay on top of that? Is it just building your business from the ground up and piecing it together, building your own playbook? How did you get to that point? And was there a point when you were like, okay, I'm not just getting the deal done. Now I'm really like, I have control over this and I have a little bit more. Like, what was that transition like from those two places in your career, I guess? And how did you get there?
So great question. So predictability. Okay. So being able to make the business predictable because it's commission only sales.
Yeah. Okay.
And so you've got to have a funnel. And you've got to have pillars of business. So I'll be honest with you, for probably 15 years, I flew by the seat of my pants. Just give me the deal. Just give me the deal.
Sure.
Let me make the check. Let's just keep going.
Right.
And literally it was like a heartbeat. So like
Right.
I'd sell a house and then I'd doctor that deal, nothing. And then I'd sell a house and then I'd doctor that deal, doctor that deal.
Right.
And so literally my business looked like a heartbeat. And it wasn't until I went back and I analyzed like, okay, this deal came from a past client. This deal came from SOI.
Sure.
This deal came from for sale by owner. And then I really understood where to spend most of my time.
Right.
And so understanding where to spend your time, number one. Number two, I think that treating the business like a business is super important because you're dealing with people personally.
Right.
And a lot of times it's friends and it can get casual.
Yes.
And that's one thing that makes me absolutely insane. So every day, whether I'm selling houses, going into the office or whatever, I'm up, I'm dressed, full hair and makeup, ready to go.
Right.
Because you never know when somebody's going to call you to sell a house.
Sure.
Plus, I think you're more productive when you are dressed and ready to go.
Yes.
So don't be casual about your business. But the predictability and understanding where the business came from and understanding where you like to spend your time.
Right.
I have a friend in Philadelphia. He loves expired listings. That is not my vibe. Okay?
No.
I have a girlfriend and she does for sale by owners and
Right.
she loves for sale by, that is not my vibe. I love loving on people and I love like doing fun things with my friends and doing fun things with my clients. And I love like spoiling and loving on people. So for me, past clients, sphere of influence has been really good. Another pillar of my business has been open houses. Now, not so much since we've been experiencing COVID, but before we were doing COVID, I would have like a food truck.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's great. Yeah. Make it a party, make it an event.
A neighborhood event.
And you're known for that.
Yeah. And like at the bus stop, everybody is talking about me and the Tom and cheese sandwiches. So I think that you've got to understand where you're most productive, where you like to spend the time, and how you can turn that into predictability.
Yes, that makes sense. Yeah.
And then also you've got to remember not to get sucked in to the deal. Okay?
Yes. I've struggled with that so far. Yeah, for sure. I've definitely caught myself doing that.
Yeah, because you'll get distracted by the distraction. What do they say? A distraction, a disruption dipped in distraction. So you do not want to be dipped in distraction because then you can't go out and fill that pipeline. So you always want to be filling it up. And for me, I'll be honest with you, I've made a truckload of money eating out, being out, talking real estate.
That's where I'm comfortable. That's my comfort zone and that's something I've struggled with too. I feel comfortable in person. I'm very much a body language person. I'm very much a eye contact person, a tone person. Sometimes text and email just doesn't cut it, right? Like, so that's something speaking of COVID, I think like that's something I know I want to focus on a bit more that's where you most comfortable, where do you feel like yourself the most, and that's definitely me. And I've done that some, right? You're kind of limited right now, but going into a store and striking up a conversation with someone in the store, right, or something like those kind of those are I feel comfortable doing that. Yeah. I've always felt like that, and back to your friends that they're focused on these other areas. Like I had this advice for a friend of mine last night. I was like, she's getting into real estate, and I said, you got to do what's like I should be giving advice at this point. But I was like, that's the beauty of real estate. You can do it how you want to. You can do it what's comfortable for you. Who are you? Don't be disingenuous.
Yeah. That's huge.
And that was my advice for her. And I was like, you'll be fine. Like just stick with that. And you've got to be consistent, which is back to your point. You get dressed.
Yeah. The compound effect. It's just built,
For sure.
like every penny makes a dollar. Like it's what you do every single day consistently that will build that consistent income.
That's your Michael Jordan. Back to Michael Jordan. You got to practice every day.
You got to practice every day. But I'm on a 5 a.m. call. Well, it's really not 5 a.m. Which reminds me, today, I think I might have missed it. Now that I think about it, holy crap! So I've literally missed like maybe 8 of these calls. Like in my entire life. But anyway, I'm on this 5 a.m. call, which is not 5 a.m. It's 8 a.m. here on the East Coast because it's 5 a.m. on the West Coast.
Sure.
And everybody says, oh, well, Rome wasn't built in a day. Rome wasn't built in a day. But they were laying bricks every day.
Sure. Yeah.
And, Michael Jordan, his biggest story, his most famous story is that I missed more shots than I ever took.
Right.
And you can't make it if you don't take the shot. So I think that stepping up to the plate, taking the shot, that is half the battle. Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, I am reluctant to, because nobody wants to be rejected.
No.
Nobody wants to be rejected. No. So like picking up the phone, I had the opportunity to call somebody who I knew that their home had not sold, that they were probably going to be looking to hire a new real estate agent. Sure. And so it was an expired listing, but it wasn't really an expired as much as it was I knew through the grapevine that they were going to be hiring another agent.
Right.
And so I needed to call them. And I was like, I definitely don't want to call these people because what if they tell me no? My feelings are going to get hurt, you know?
Yeah. No.
So I sent a text.
We have emotions too.
Yeah.
You know, so,
I sent a text and I didn't get a response.
Right.
And then a couple days later, I got a response. And so, you know, I think that I just in general in people's human nature is that they think that it's always about them. And maybe that guy was, you know, wherever he was, and that was not at the top of his list. That wasn't at the top of his flow chart to deal with. So I think that number one, you know, your perception is your reality.
Yeah.
You need to, and for me, I always think that everybody wants to talk to me. Like in my head, like I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh my gosh, who cannot wait to talk to me today about real estate?
Right.
And so I think that it's real estate is a very mental game.
That's you get the right attitude.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, because why wouldn't you want to talk to me, right?
It's a big
Because
part of it.
we've never even met. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, well, I know that Adam is going to want to talk to me.
It's been fun. No, it's fun. I agree. It's the Glennda glow. You just can't, you know.
Oh,
you gotta
that could be a hashtag. The Glennda glow. I like it.
It's your aura, you know. You've got it. That's great. But that's you being you. You know what I mean? Like it's not disingenuous. Like that's back to that point where it's like, that's how you communicate with people. You like to give gifts. You like to bring your energy and give that energy to people. And that probably makes people feel good, you know, like, so that's a huge thing, right? Like be yourself. That's who you are. That's why you're successful. Cause you stick with that so you answered my question.
Oh, good.
Very, very, yeah. So that was,
that's good. I'm so glad I didn't get off on some tangent. But you know, it's funny that you talk about energy because energy is so key. You know, and I talk to agents about this all the time because, well, there's more than one, but there's this one agent in particular. And I swear the woman is mean as a damn rattlesnake. I mean, and literally, she picks up the phone and she's like, Glennda. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, please. Like I don't even have her number saved because I don't want to know that it's her calling. And Glennda, you know that listing that you have? Oh my God. Ugh, that thing is a dog. I'm like, then why are you calling me?
Yeah.
Why do your people want it? Like,
Right.
and like that energy just comes through the phone. So I think that you've got to mentally be able to be excited. I think that be excited about your product, and your product is you. Be enthusiastic about your product, and walk in thinking everybody wants to talk real estate always. Right. And so, you know, one of my favorite scripts that I kind of came up with was I love to kind of eat out. So whether I'm eating out with someone or I'm eating at the bar by myself, because nobody sits at the bar who doesn't want to talk to somebody.
That's right.
If you don't want to talk to anybody, you're going to go sit at a table by yourself. Right. So, you know, you're in Atlanta, Georgia, you're sitting at the bar at Houston's, you're sitting at the bar at Chops, wherever you're sitting at the bar. And somebody says, oh, hey, how are you? Oh my gosh, I'm amazing. Selling houses every day, living the dream. Right. And, oh, you're in real estate. I am in real estate. And it literally kicks off the conversation. I bet you I have made more money with, hey, how's it going? Living the dream, selling houses every day. Oh, you're in real estate? I am in real estate. And that starts that conversation off. You know, I've got people standing in line that want to buy a house. Please tell me you know somebody that wants to buy a house. And literally, it's not you being a salesperson. It's just you, like, shooting the bull with somebody.
Yes.
And in the South, you know, it's so funny on my TikTok that somebody goes, nobody throws shade like a Southerner. Southern shade. I loved it. I was like, oh my God, I love it. But you know,
that's very true.
I mean, and nobody talks shit like a Southerner. Think about it. I mean, you can talk about anything, and it automatically
Bless
sounds.
Her heart.
Yeah.
You know?
Bless your sweetheart, Adam.
That's right.
On my stars and stripes. So I think that there's so much opportunity just in conversation.
Absolutely.
And obviously, you're really good one-on-one. And the energy is great, and all of that flowing off really gives you the opportunity to shine in that arena.
Yeah, and I enjoy getting to know people. Like I think that's fun, right? Like and just sharing that energy, back to energy is that's where good things will come, you know. Yeah. So I think I think you hit that right on the head for sure.
Now, where do you live?
I live in Midtown.
We're in Midtown.
So I'm kind of near, kind of at the intersection of Midtown, Old Fourth Ward, and Virginia Highland, kind of near like.
Oh my stars!
It's great. I like to be able to walk
like
to places.
Jackpot.
It's a nice, yeah. So my girlfriend and I have an apartment there, and we 2 greyhounds we live with, and so they're a lot of fun. But so we're kind of right in the middle of everything. There's just a fun area to be around, and can walk to Piedmont Park and all that. We love that, and yeah, I love that part of town. It's you know.
Yeah, and there's a lot of money to be made in the real estate market over there. So there's this guy, he's with my company, and he has a Greyhound. Mm-hmm. And in his profile picture, it's him and this dog. And no lie. And of course, the guy walks the dog everywhere. Sure. He sells a lot in Ansley. And he walks the dog. And everybody knows the dog, Scout, Sam, whatever the dog's name is. I can't remember.
Right.
And so he's got this dog in every single promotional thing. So I'm telling you, I'm not a dog person. I was attacked by a pit bull, and every dog.
Oh no! Yeah.
My last dog was struck by lightning.
Oh. Good.
So I mean, that's another story.
Not your pet of choice. Do you know what? I love dogs. I love dogs, and my son is like an animal whisperer. I mean, the kid loves animals. But I will tell you, I'm just not a dog person. But I think that for people that are a dog person, like Eveline, who works with me, she has this little dog, Rico, cute as a damn button. She takes that dog to the dog park. Yeah. That girl sells more real estate at the damn dog park. I mean, it just shocks me. Yeah, I'm like, aren't you supposed to be like doing something with the dog? And I've done the same, right? Yeah. I love going to the dog park. That's a great way to meet people, and you have something in common. And same thing, walking around our neighborhood, we have so greyhounds have very thin coats. They're very lean. They don't have a lot of fat. They have these pajamas that we wear, that we put on to keep them warm, and like we've met a lot of neighbors just like, what do they do? Why are they wearing pajamas? So it's really cute. Yeah. So
you could get them pajamas with like your logo on them. Like I can see Adam Johnson Real Estate and the big like KW on their pajamas. Mm-hmm. So my friends Jenny and Charles Turner, they're in Portland, and they're really big dog people as well. Sure. And so they have leashes and collars and poop bags. Although the poop bags, I'm just not sure that that's where I want my logo. Yeah. But anyway, somebody, probably appreciates that. What's the little thingamajiggle that holds the poop bag?
Yeah, the little holster.
So they've got that with their logo on it. Mm-hmm. Like we don't take shit or something. But it's so funny in real estate.
But that's back to being yourself. If you have an interest in dogs, like why not meet people with that common interest? Yeah. That's something that's like that's you being yourself. Like, and if you happen to run into somebody that needs to buy a home or sell their home, then that's great. That's the I think that's a great way to meet folks and a great way to help people. And again, that's you build that trust with someone if it's someone you don't know or if it's an old friend, whatever, right? Like that's you being yourself is a big part of that. Having someone trust you with such a big decision. So
it's usually their largest single asset. Now, what's been your most difficult transaction, or what's been the most difficult thing that you've run into, or unusual thing?
Oh my goodness, I did have a run-in with. I don't know if I should say that.
I don't know.
I had a run.
If it's really bad, we'll cut it out.
I had a client that was interested in an investment property in Roswell near downtown. It was a little townhome. Really, cute little area, walkable to downtown, and it was a really good price. The place was in pretty bad shape. I mean, it was not move-in ready by any means. Very far from that. In the MLS, there was a note that said sometimes the niece of the owner stays here. And I was like, okay. So I go to the place, and I walk in. I call the listing agent. He's like, the house isn't secure. Like the door is off the hinge. And I was like, what? Like, okay, like, all right. So I go there. I get there before my friend and I kind of scope it out. And the place, it's in bad shape. The place, it's in rough shape. And I kind of walk around, and I'm like, there's no one here, right? It's quiet. There was a cat walking around in there, and I walk up to the second floor to check out the bedrooms. There's 3 bedrooms up there. I peek in each one. I'm like, okay, this is a big flip, right? So I'm scoping it out. I go to the last bedroom, and the door's closed. And I'm like, I gotta see what's in this last bedroom. Like, what's going on here? Yeah. Open the door, and there was a naked lady sleeping on the floor that I walked in. And it scared the hell out of me. I jumped. I opened the door and I couldn't she woke up immediately and was like, "I'm sorry, I didn't know you were coming."
Well, no shit, she woke up.
I didn't know you were here. They told me you were coming by, and I was like, "Oh my god!" So I was in shock, and I kind of I closed the door and I walked back down, and then my friend pulls up and he's walking up to the front, and I was like, don't go in there, so it was, and that's like, I've only been in real estate since July, so who knows what'll happen, after next,
Well,
so
that's
naked lady run in. You never know, what you're gonna run into. But so I don't know if we can keep that in.
Well, it's funny because we actually did a TikTok about the naked guy, the naked seller.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I called this guy and I said, hey, I'm going to show your house at 1 o'clock on Saturday. And he goes, oh, you don't have a time range? And I'm like, no, you're the first house. We'll be there right at 1 o'clock. He's like, okay, great, no problem. And this is back 100 years ago where you would actually pick up the phone and call the seller. Because remember, it's the Jesus was a baby time. So, I call him and I'm telling him, oh, yeah, we'll be there at 1 o'clock. So we go in and I hear something, something. I'm like, what is that noise? Whatever. So we're going through the house. And we come out of the family room and we're going down the hallway. And the master bedroom door opens, and there he is in all his glory, naked as a jaybird. And and
what did he do? Did he jump?
Oh no, he totally meant to do it. He was intentional. You will never convince me that it wasn't intentional. And no lie, the buyer does not skip a beat, because she was right behind me, and she kind of because I'm like, and she comes around and she takes one look at him. She goes, I've seen enough. I'm not interested in this house. So, and I had been selling real estate a very short period of time at that point as well. Right. So, you never know what you're going to see in real estate.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I've been in a lot of houses at this point, and you never know. And that can go both ways, right? Sometimes you're really surprised by a home. You go and you're like, wow, this really shows better than it shows in the listing photos, right? That kind of thing. And you've and that's experience getting in there, getting comfortable with that and being able to gauge that kind of stuff. But you get surprises still, obviously. Yeah. So you never know.
And to me, I don't think there's any substitute to previewing property.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially you're newer.
Yeah.
It's not like you're running around like a crazy chicken with 1,000 deals going on. So you have all of the opportunity in the world to get to know the inventory in your area.
Yep. And absolutely. It's been super valuable. That was the other piece of advice I gave to my friend last night. I said, go in, get into some homes, go into the homes the neighborhoods you're interested in. Where would you want to sell? Where do you want to live? What do you want to focus on? Get in there, see what feel out the market. That goes back to market knowledge, and getting in there. I think the first time I went in to preview by myself, I was so nervous. Yeah. There's nobody there.
No.
What are you nervous about? But it's something about getting comfortable and getting that confidence. As silly as that sounds, you got it. That's a big part.
Listen to you spouting the knowledge. I love it.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
But that's so true. And the thing about it is that when you preview a property and you've seen it in real life, you have the ability to speak with certainty.
Yeah, for sure. That too. Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
because when somebody calls you and says, "Hey, I'd like to see 123 Banana Street," and you can say, "Hey, I've seen 123 Banana Street."
Or you do.
I mean, you can you can speak intelligently.
Right, for sure.
And you can know.
You're like, it's but it has, you got to look out for this, or this doesn't really show up. They didn't mention this. You can't see this in the listing.
That picture that makes the front yard look like it's very, very deep. Trust me, that shit sits on the street.
That happens all the time. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Seeing it in person is such a big. It seems like it's such a small thing too, and it really makes a huge difference. So.
Yeah. So when I started, I read a book, How to Develop a Six-Figure Income in Real Estate, and in that book they said to preview 5 houses a day, 5 days a week. So you previewed 25 houses a week.
Right.
And I will tell you, even today, as busy as I am, I always go on Caravan every Tuesday.
Yeah.
To get into the houses that are really fancy smancy, that are difficult to get into. So I always go into those.
Right.
And then also, I like to preview houses that I'm probably going to have a buyer or a seller. I list a pretty specific product, I list everything, but most of my listings
you kind of know what you need to see.
Yeah, and so I think that when you're going into those houses, whether you're a listing agent or a buyer's agent, that just the on-site market knowledge, there is no substitute for that, especially with, Zillow, Redfin, Open Door, where they're operating from a cube in Iowa. that's an advantage that we have as agents is real estate is on site, not online.
Yeah.
And when you're out at the dog park and you can say, I've seen 123 Banana Street and it has a purple bedroom and it has a red dining room and the yard really doesn't look that great and it backs up to commercial, then all of a sudden you've built that credibility with the person at the dog park. You've reminded them that you're in real estate.
Right.
And all of a sudden, now it's kind of changed. The dynamic has changed. You're not just the guy at the dog park. You're the real estate agent that knows every house in the neighborhood.
Knows his stuff. He's the expert here, or whatever, right? And that's what that's all about, right? It's like you know your stuff. You know your product.
Yeah, there is no substitute for market knowledge, and not only being able to consume the data, but then being able to turn around and interpret it.
Yeah, and so far, I mean, I've only worked with a small handful of clients at this point, and they've all been focused in different areas of town. Some that I knew really well already, and some that I had to get to know a little bit better.
Yeah.
But even by doing that, God, my knowledge, and I've lived in Atlanta since '05, and like there's areas of town that I know so much better. I know streets better now. I know the neighborhoods better. Like that kind of stuff. I mean, Atlanta's a big place. Like there's so many areas. It's hard to see it all. But yeah, like expanding that knowledge. And for you, I'm sure when you're looking at these really specific properties, like I said, you know what you're selling, you know what your product is, that's huge. You have an advantage over people because you have that niche and you have that focus on it. So yeah, that's super valuable.
Yeah. And the majority of agents are too lazy to go look at, I mean, in all honesty, 20% of the agents sell 80% of the houses. And I would argue that even of those 20%, probably only, I'd say maybe 5 to 10% of those agents are worth their weight. And as we move more towards an automated, especially with the data, people being able to go online and get so much data, last market sales, square footage, who owns the property. All of that stuff that we kind of really held behind the gate way back before you were in real estate and probably before you were born. But we used to hold all that stuff back because that's what gave us value.
Sure.
That's not where the real estate agent's value is today. The real estate agent's value today is being able, number one, to consume and interpret data. Number two, negotiate the best deal for their client. And number three, get them from contract to close seamlessly. Because what you don't realize is that that's where most of the trouble happens. Like a plane, takeoff and landing. Getting you from Atlanta to Salt Lake in the air, that's the least of the worries. It's taking off from Atlanta and landing in Salt Lake. That's where everything comes together. So, and it's, it's from listing to live and contract to close. That's where the magic happens in the real estate transaction and where the value is developed for a real estate agent.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, and you're totally right. Like otherwise we would have been replaced a few years ago, with companies coming into the market. And no, you're absolutely right. Getting someone from contract to close, going back to wearing a lot of hats, being an educator and like helping them. I mean, a lot of the folks I'm working with are first-time home buyers, so making sure they understand the process, making sure they understand what due diligence is and earnest money, which seems like very basic stuff to us.
Right.
But it can be complicated if you've never seen it. Like it's not that, you got to do a lot of research. So explaining it to them in a way that makes sense, in a way that is I don't know. That's a big part of it. Negotiating, another hat you got to wear. That's a big piece of it. That's huge. And knowing what the home is worth, knowing the market, that all ties in together. So absolutely.
And keeping everybody in the boat. Dear God.
Yep.
I mean, that's for us. That's like the hardest thing is like keeping everybody in the boat to get them to the end zone. Yeah. And I always kind of use the analogy of like a football play. Like the quarterback, the seller, throws the ball. I'm the wide receiver. I'm carrying it into the end zone. But I've got to have a lot of people on the field, like blocking the tackle for me to get to the end zone. And I think that that's one thing that a lot of real estate agents, number one, take for granted. I think that buyers and sellers take that for granted because if they think that company with the cube in Iowa is going to be able to block those tackles from contract to closing, I've got a lot of really bad news. We're dealing right now with a big box bank, and literally, and this is so bad. This is so bad. So we have this transaction, and we're dealing with a big box lender, and so no lie, I'm trying to appeal to the emotional side of this big box lender who doesn't
Right.
know me from Adam's house cat.
Right.
And
Yeah.
Adam's house cat. Do you have a cat?
No.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's
I like that analogy.
it's an old time Southern saying. Anyway,
There you go.
so this guy doesn't know me from Adam's house cat, and I'm trying to appeal to his emotional side, and I'm like, look, like my client, like her and her mother are in a hotel. Her mother has Alzheimer's. I really need for you to get this loan done. I just, as a reminder, the time limits in the contract aren't written in pencil. And really, I would just consider it a personal favor if you would really help me get this deal done. And he's like, look, lady,
Right.
I don't know what you're talking about. It'll get done when it gets done. We're in the holidays.
Right.
And that's when my head spun around, snot flew out of my nose. And I said, look, you're in some cube in Iowa,
Yep.
and you're just lucky that I can't get to you because you're never going to have to sit across the closing table from this woman and her 90-year-old mother with Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
You should be ashamed of yourself because if you did sit across the table from me, I would reach across the table and rip your lungs out.
Yep.
And the guy says to me, he goes, well, I just want you to know I like my cube in Iowa. And I'm like, I'm not speaking to you anymore. And I hung up the phone, and here I am all whacked out and all upset with my client.
Yeah.
And so I go to follow up with an email. This is the conversation that we had, blah, 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 blah. And I was replying to an email that he had sent me, and I'm scrolling down to look at his signature. He's in Des Moines, Iowa.
You nailed it.
But I just use that. Like, to me,
Right.
so like to me, I always say somebody's in a cube in Iowa. Like, to me, like I'm never ever going to see the person who's in a cube. I didn't know
Right.
he was literally
Right.
in a cube in Iowa. But that's the thing is like you're dealing with people that are never, they're never ever going to see you. And
Right.
that's why it's so important to deal with people that you know.
Well, and going back to my coach, Jason Hammock. Shout out to Jason Hammock
I love it.
Keller Williams Midtown. He's been amazing. He was talking to me about this yesterday. He's like you've got to value your team.
Yeah.
You have a team. You've interviewed your team, and people are getting to know them and why they're so important in the role they play. You don't get that with a big box bank or with like a mobile app or like. I didn't understand that either before I got into real estate, frankly. Like, I didn't know that's how it worked. I thought, like, oh, you just call up a big bank and they give you a loan.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I have a team of, like, lenders that I work with. We have closing attorneys that we work with. You have home inspectors that you recommend. You've got to have a team of people you know and trust. You're just not going to get that from someone in a box in Iowa, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean,
or a desk in Iowa.
The thing about it is that not only that you know and trust, but that will make you and your clients a priority.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
You know,
they're going to give you a personal touch that you're not going to get from someone like those people don't care. Like they're like,
No.
We're getting to
He's
it.
never, that guy's
Like,
never
right.
ever going to see me. He doesn't
No.
care that I did a gazillion deals.
No.
He doesn't care. And that's
You're
the
just
thing.
a number, or
Yeah, he's
So,
going to make the same
right.
$15 an hour whether he gets that deal done or not.
Right.
And so I mean, I think that's one thing that as a newer agent, as a young agent, that I didn't realize was the value of a team and the value of being loyal to that team.
Yep.
Not spreading the wealth. Really just keeping it to 2 or 3 people. You send all the deals to them.
Yep.
Then that way, when there's a problem, you've got somebody that's got your back.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That's so valuable. The personal touch, like having that. Yeah, no, I've learned that, and I've learned a lot from them, frankly, because there's a lot I didn't know, and they've spent time with me. These folks on my team or folks I work with. They've invested in me, so why would I not return the favor?
Absolutely.
So it's like that's a big thing for me as a newer agent. It's like, well, I trust them because number one, they've done great work. They do it quickly. They do quality work. They give personal touch, and I trust them as well to send people their way, and they're going to take care of them. That's a huge part of your business.
Super.
So luckily, we're reminded of that a lot. I have a good coach who's reminding me of that, and I understand that, but. I think a lot of folks don't realize that.
Right.
So,
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I see
Yeah.
great things for you. I'm so happy that I had the opportunity to kind of sit down with you, get to know you. I hope that you learned a couple things.
I did.
I loved your energy, and I know that you are going to be an amazing agent. I will just say, like Adam sells Atlanta, I think that sounds good.
I love that. Yeah.
Feel free to
love that.
use
No,
that as a tagline. No charge
I've
for that
bounced,
tip.
I've bounced that around a few times.
AdamSellsAtlanta.com. I love it.
I love it. I love it. Well, yeah.
Thank you so much for being here with me.
Yeah.
As I always say, my name is Glennda Baker. I am a real estate agent in Atlanta, Georgia. Send me a text, tag me in a post, give me a call. That's what I love the most because I'd love the opportunity to talk real estate with you today. See ya.